Alright, folks, so at the request of my boy B-Man, I decided to go ahead and record a short video about some anti-Yoshimitsu stuff. This character can be a huge problem, obviously, if you don't know what you're doing, like any character, but very specifically, he has some tools in his arsenal that don't follow the general rules of Tekken, which can be hard to deal with. And of course, he's got a lot of fun gimmicks. So, I'm going to show you just how to deal with a couple of the more pronounced, well-used gimmicks, and just kind of a general strategy against Yoshimitsu. So, the first thing you got to think about, at least the way I think about it, is there's a few characters in this game. Well, there's a lot more characters in this game now than there ever was before, but in my opinion, some characters you just have to go in with a game plan that says, I can't play my normal Tekken game against this character because they have something that defies those rules. Before, for me, it was characters like Ling, Eddie, Steve, and Yoshi. All of these characters have very different things that kind of define the kind of playstyle you have to have against them. Obviously, Ling has AOP, Eddie has Relax, Steve has back one and just really good counter hitting highs in general. And then Yoshimitsu has Flash. So all of these require a very specific and very disciplined approach because as soon as you vary from that approach, that's when you get in trouble. Something gets crushed, something gets counter hit, something gets launched. So that's how you kind of have to think about Yoshimitsu because Flash is a game changer. You can't just play normal Tekken against a Yoshi who's good at using Flash because you're just going to get killed. Your turn is never really your turn unless it's like really your turn. And you have to know those situations where if there's situations where he just can't possibly flash, those are your only 100% safe situations to push forward because otherwise, every other time you're risking half your life because you decided to hit him with a down forward 3 and then follow up with a safe mid. Um, it's not that you can't ever do something like that, it's just that you're risking your life every time you do. The trade-off, obviously, with Flash is that if you bait it or if you block it, it is launch punishable. So let's just... I'm not actually sure that Ganryu can launch it. So let's just say... I've got some stuff set up here. So the last one is just raw Flash. Let me just see if he blocks that. It's hard to get into a position where you actually block it. I think I almost have to neutral guard it. God. So how much is that? Gosh. I don't know of an easier way to set this up. I think his back's got to be to the wall. So it's minus 15. How much is his down forward to? 16. So if you're going to punish it, you have to punish it with that. If you block it, you could do forward 1+2 or clap. The good news is, however, as you saw by me trying to set that up, the odds of you blocking Flash are very, very, very low. 90% of the time, if you think Flash is coming and you just don't push a button, he's going to whiff it. So you can block, so you can just whiff punish it. And we'll kind of look at that more later. But for most of the cast with a 15-frame launcher, it is just launch punishable on block. But again, 90% of the time, he's just going to whiff Flash in your face, and as long as you're ready for it, you can just punish it with whatever you want. So, in order to get to that mind game where it's just like, is he going to flash or is he not going to flash, you have to get past the gimmicks and you have to understand how the gimmicks work and what Yoshi players are looking for because the gimmicks are there just, the same way as a Ganryu player. If they can't block that, you're just going to do that to mindlessly win. The gimmicks look like there's a lot of thought process to them, but there's not. It's just working on ignorance. They're just autopiloting these gimmicks because it's an easy way to run people over. So that's their way of kind of just like piloting through people that don't know better so they can save their brain power to do the trickier stuff on people that know the character a little bit better. So I've got a few save situations here that you're going to run into a lot. These are very, very canned gimmicks that I have seen every Yoshimitsu player I've ever played from the bottom to the top use at least once. So here we go. Let's start with this one. Alright, so this one is a frickin' classic. If I try to retaliate here, he's gonna frickin' swoop away from whatever I do, and he's just gonna potentially kill me. You know. Aside from doing a homing move here, which I'm not even sure what Ganryu's is, to be honest. So clap works pretty good. But what also works really, really good in this situation is this little trick. Advancing grab. Forward and generic grab. I like doing the 2 grab here, because generally the advancing 2 grab has a little bit more range. But you will hit almost every Yoshi player with this once, because they will try it at least once, maybe even twice. If they might try to go the other way the next time. And yes, this does work no matter what way they spin, and it's a lot of damage. So if you show them that you know this, they immediately have to start second guessing what they're going to do when they go into this stance. And then you can start doing stuff like a quick mid to interrupt whatever they're doing. Because as you can see, that move by itself is -6. So any other kind of aggression they try to use there can be shut down by a quick mid. But obviously your quick mids are going to be beat out by that spin. So the first thing to do is assert your dominance by throwing their ass, saying, you can't do this shitty gimmick to me because I will fuck you up for it every time. And then the mind game begins. Now it's more, will they spin or will they not spin? And a lot of times, like, after you hit them with this, they'll start doing crazy things like just going into back turn and ducking. Or they'll just start turning around. They'll just give it up and say, they know I don't really have a mix-up here. I'm just going to turn back around and, then you just start playing the fucking game again. Like I said, you're going to see that from every Yoshimitsu player at least once, and hitting them with that back grab feels so good. Alright, let's look at the next one. Alright, so this low, again, something you're going to see from all Yoshimitsu players. Some will use it more in neutral more than others will. The reason this series is good is because it's a mix-up on the wall. I don't know if it works on every character, but after some of his wall combos, basically, you wake up into a mix-up where he either does the spinny sword tech catch, so if you mash tech roll, you will get up into that and you will get deaded, or he does that, and he can do a certain number of those spinny lows, and those will all hit you, and then it just kind of resets because he's in full crouch. So then if you tech up, he can do the unblockable sword sweep, or he can keep doing the spinny lows and keep catching you for staying on the ground. I don't know if that works against just big characters, but I know it's a pretty common strategy, and since I play all big characters, I see it all the time. You may see it a little bit less if you play a smaller character that does not work on. The spinny lows might not work on girls, I'm not sure. But the thing about those lows that you should know is if they are used in neutral, you can guard after the first one hits you. And you can... Let's see here. Now, I don't know that you can low parry. I actually tried it there. I've never tried it before. But don't even bother trying to low parry. Do the easiest thing. So what the easiest thing to do is as soon as you block that second low, start mashing while standing forward as hard as you can. So what'll happen, you gotta block the second low though. I'm bad at it. So the first two natural combo? They seem like they might be natural combo. So ignore the first one. The first two are a natural combo, it looks like. So, but after the first two, if you just hold down on down back, and then just mash on while standing forward, Or if you block the first one. It's applicable if you block the first one too. As soon as you block one of those spinny kicks, whether it be the first one or the third one, you can just keep mashing. Let me see. Let me turn on my... sorry. I thought I was more set up. What am I looking for? I'm looking for the button presses. Oh, command history. Okay. So watch my command history here. Let's play it. As soon as I block it, I am literally mashing 4. I don't have to keep blocking. I can just let go of a direction and keep smashing 4 because you're stuck in that block animation. And as soon as he stops spinning, you're going to do while standing 4. So whether he stops spinning and doesn't do the mid kick or tries to do the mid kick, you are going to beat both of those options with while standing 4. So again, I'll let the first one go, and I'll start blocking the kicks after the first couple connect, and start mashing 4. So no matter what he does there, you're going to punish him with while standing 4. So that's good to know. There's no guess there. No matter what he does after you block one of those, you're going to while standing for him. So let's get that away. Let's see. Actually, kind of our... So this exchange is going to be one of the other really common situations you're going to find yourself in against Yoshi. So it's his down forward 1-2 series. So he obviously has down forward 1-2, which is mid poke into a high. The high is a counter hit launcher. Ideally, in a perfect world, you're going to duck that every time and launch him. But it's hard because he can do that spinny punch, and it makes it a lot safer. Now, if you're smooth and you're quick and you have like a 14-frame launcher, you can get in that ass and launch it every time. Or even it looks like a 16-frame, but you really have to be on point if you have a slower while standing launcher. You really gotta be on point with it. Because if you're too slow, that's what happens. See, a little bit too slow there. And if you're too fast, you block it, so... Ganryu has that, which is going to make it a lot easier. Those 2 frames make a big difference in the leeway you get there. So as a Ganryu player, I would use that every single time. But if you're someone that by default just has a 16-frame launcher, you really have to be on point. So sometimes you're just better off taking like your 13 or your 14 frame, whatever that is. But as Ganryu, I would try to go for that every time. So again, in an ideal world, that's what you're going to do. That shuts down the mix-up. The only thing that he has going for him after that is down forward 1, down forward 1-3 or down forward 1-4, which is minus 13. That's his mid-mid option, which is not great. And even if you duck into that and it hits you, it doesn't do any freaking damage. So not a big deal. So ideally, you're going to just duck it and launch it every time. But, you know, we don't live in an ideal world. I certainly don't duck that and launch it every time. I usually get counter hit by it almost every time. So what you need to also be aware of is the mind game that comes after that. So to make this safer, in case you did duck it, they are almost always following up with that mid punch. Because again, that's going to make it safer for them because it's going to punish any slow while standing punishment on the high. That puts them at -5. So, knowing that, the very beginner level of the mix-up is they're going to take that and go into full crouch, and full crouch mix you up. Because you're not going to know, if you don't know the frames there, you're just going to sit there like a doofus, and they're going to mix you up out of full crouch with hop kick or the unblockable sweep. So, you have to make sure and let them know right away, hey, I know you're minus there. I am not going to let you do whatever the hell you want, so you're going to follow that up with like a mid. Mid or a low? I would say a mid because, again, one of their options up for mix-up there is usually hop kick, which will crush a low if you retaliate with a low. Depending on the speed of the low, of course. So, answering with a mid there is really good. So, we know the frames. We know that they don't get their shitty little mix-up there. So, then, in that situation, the mix-up becomes, are they going to just block your mid? Or are they going to answer with this? So then it almost becomes, after that, are they going to flash or are they not going to flash? Very, very common setup. Very, very, very common. So this is going to be any retaliation. Excuse me. Any quick retaliation there. So that's going to be their answer. So ideally, you're going to want to start recognizing that, baiting it out, and punishing the flash. Again, whoops, not like that. And of course, Ganryu is a bigger character. A lot of the bigger characters in this situation, if you're not holding back, might have to block flash. But as long as you're holding back to block, you will make them whiff that flash. So then again, when that situation arises the next time, it becomes, are you going to bait the flash? Or are you going to answer back because you don't want to get mixed up after that? And that's the mind game there. And that's what you have to turn it into. So again, once the Yoshimitsu player realizes that you know what's going on, this is the game in a lot of situations. So that's kind of on the defensive end. Now, on the offensive end, it becomes the same thing. Again, once you start shutting down the gimmicks, once you start knowing when it's safe to attack, once you start running your offense, now you have to be careful with the fact that you just can't just do this all day. Because that is an invitation to get flashed. More importantly, if we take them to the wall, we do our wall combo, they tuck up, you want to keep the pressure on, you want to run in, you want to keep the pressure on, they're going to tuck up into flash. It's every Yoshimitsu player does it. They'll do it 2 or 3 times around. When they're low on life, they know you want to finish them off with like a safe frame trap. They're going to flash. So you have to have the discipline to go in here. Let's see. And stop your aggression. So hit him with something, back up, and then be ready to whiff punish. This is hard to demonstrate with a recorded flash because he just does it whenever the fuck he wants to do it. But and that's something you have to get into. And you know, you're going to get flashed sometimes. Sometimes you're going to forget. Sometimes you're going to get over anxious. Sometimes maybe they haven't flashed after down forward 3 like 5 times in a row. So you think maybe it's finally time to press. Nope, not time to press. I just got flashed. So literally, once you learn this character, you learn some of the gimmicks, you show that you have some knowledge against the character, it literally just becomes, am I going to, like, baiting out their flashes and punishing them? That's it. I mean, you still have to stay sharp, you still have to, you know, break throws, you still have to punish things well, and he has a lot of punishable stuff, but that's the game. It's, when are they going to bait out flash, and am I going to be sharp, you know, to whiff punish it. So that's, and you always have to have that in the back of your mind. As soon as you see Yoshimitsu on the screen, you have to say, okay, I'm going to be smart about my offense. I'm going to stagger it a little bit more. You know, maybe do that into a slower move. You know, so maybe I won't get flashed. Just do that into backdash. Be ready to whiff punish. Those are the kind of thoughts that you have to have going into your head. So let's see if I can. So down forward 1-4, like I said. I'm not sure if headbutt will reach that. Headbutt looks like it'll reach that quite a bit. But then you got 2-1, obviously. That's minus 13. You're going to see a lot of players use that kangaroo kick. Just 2-1. Forward 1, and curve circle forward 2 are punishable. So that's minus 14, and that's minus a lot. That one you can hug. And it's got some pushback at max range, but Ganryu can always punish it with either forward 1 plus 2 or hug. Ideally hug. Technically, since this is minus 14, you could probably also hug that. Boy, I'm bad at hug. Yeah. So, yeah, those are the important moves that you can punish. And that's it. I'll have to edit some of this down, but hopefully that is helpful. Love you too.